Good morning, afternoon, or evening whenever you're watching this here video. My name is Joshua, and I will be your words of wisdom advisor today. And today's topic of conversation: do not trip on them becoming you. Did I say that right? And before we get into this topic of conversation today, I want to say it takes me a while to get out of I call it fortress of solitude, because I go into isolation like crazy, hermit mode all day, every day. So it takes me a little bit to come out of that. So I apologize for the delay on the update. But yes, as you see it in the title, top of the conversation, is do not trip on them while becoming you. And it's possible I've talked about this in another video, but this is one of those ideas that kind of sticks with me as I try to navigate the future of what I'm trying to do for this channel and otherwise. But essentially, the idea here is there's going to be a lot of people that say no. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to treat you like you're not that person. And no matter where you are in your journey, you got a long way to go, or just as much as somebody else got a long way to go. Even as somebody who started up there in some sort of palace, if you want to call it that, is still going to have their long journey to take. It's just going to be a different route than yours. The meaning behind this conversation is people that are going to try and put you down and or in some regard impersonate you in some kind of way, jab at you, thinking that it's going to affect you in some sort of way. And you got to build up that mental courage, that mental power to not let that type of thing affect you. If you look at any video of anybody ever talking about their success story, they're going to tell you that people hated on them or didn't believe in them on their way up, and they still made it. A lot of those people either did or did not have people in their corner backing them up. And I feel like a lot of these videos that I make, I'm going to be looking back on anyway, because these are really things that I need to tell myself from time to time to keep me pushing, to keep me motivated to do things for myself that will be beneficial for me. A lot of times I see people that I get inspired by because of their success story or just their journey in general, because of the way that they navigate life and the way that they operate. And I can take something from that and apply it to my own life. And there are some people that'll look at you like you're crazy. Like, you shouldn't listen to that advice. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. And it's like, how would they know what's better for you than they do know for themselves, if that makes any sense? To rephrase that, a lot of people will tell you you shouldn't do this, not do that, but they can't take any sort of advice for their own life because they haven't tried the things that you've tried. I don't know if that's better or worse, but I'm sure somebody will understand it. And then there will be people that just won't know in general what they're doing. And they'll try to give you advice on something that they ain't never experienced. And one thing about me is I like to give advice to people if they ask for it, or if I'm helping a friend with the situation that they're in. I can only really give or offer my perspective or any sort of insight that I might have outside of being in that situation. And if I've dealt with a situation that's similar or damn near the same thing, then I'll tell them exactly what I did to either get out of it or give myself the mental strength to pull through it. Another thing I've understood is a lot of people like to come at character, or even if they did have character, they just find better time to question yours for some reason. I found that a lot in a lot of the situations that I've been through, is people questioning the kind of person that I am or the kind of person I'm trying to be. Another thing about the title of this video is how you feel about what people think of you is a big influence on your next course of action. And one of the biggest things you got to come to terms with is you don't really got to impress nobody. You don't got to put yourself out there for one specific person to be like, oh, you're doing a great job, or hey, you really did this, or hey, you're doing a great job at that. Yeah, that's nice and all, but you shouldn't seek that kind of approval from somebody that isn't going to dictate your next steps. At least that's just my opinion on the matter. Friends and family members, relationships in general, those type of things are very situational. And if it's more so your speed that you trust somebody that much with your influence of your next steps, then so be it. Do you. I'm not telling you what to do. But I do strongly believe that you should not seek out impressing anybody else aside from yourself if you are to get to a point in your life where you're satisfied with the kind of person that you are becoming and or have become. That being said, I'm not saying that you need to strive to just be the strongest, most independent person on the planet, depending on absolutely nobody for any sort of help or guidance whatsoever. But you should be able to be independent enough to build your mentality and your own character in the way that you see fit for yourself, and not rely on other people's opinions of you to dictate that. I used to be one of those kids that kind of rolled with every type of crowd because I didn't really have a judgment towards them, because how could I judge somebody that I didn't know? At the same time, I didn't realize that I myself was being judged by all of those people because they have their own perspectives of me, and I didn't think anything about it. That being said, as I grew up more and more, I started to have that type of mentality where other people's opinions mattered to me about myself, and I wanted to change specific things about myself to make sure that this person wasn't displeased with the kind of person that I was already. But that's not healthy. And that's completely different from somebody calling you out on your bullshit and or telling you something that you do that you know is not good for you, and them trying to help you to get out of that habit or that way of doing it. And I don't like casting stones, so I don't like when people throw them at me. One thing that I get, I will honestly tell you, is a crash out for me is when people question or come after my character. I do not like that. I take that as disrespect and the like. But that takes a different course of self restraint and also self confidence to know that the person you are is good enough to surpass any opinion of you that you know isn't true. I used to get really, really heated when people would say something about me that I knew wasn't true, but I felt the need to defend myself because I valued their opinion over my own truth. And then I started to sit by myself and start analyzing the type of things that I actually thought about. And I came into the idea of making sure that people's opinions will never outweigh the actual kind of person that I am and the actual character that I have. There's a lot of people that'll say a lot of messed up things to you along your journey, whether you're taking a course that nobody really likes taking or thinks is really niche and isn't going to make you any sort of success in the future. Fuck them. Excuse my language for the third time. But the sole reason that you are on the journey that you are on is because you are in your own experience and not somebody else's. So they need to take your shoes off of their feet and put them back onto you, because at the end of the day, they're not you. So don't trip. Don't trip. Let people be who they be and you be who you are. And then build yourself the way that is going to benefit you going forward in your path and your journey in the future. With all of that heebie jeebies being said, if you like this or got anything from it, I'm glad you're here. Hit the like, subscribe to it if you want to see more of this shit. Excuse my language for the fourth time. And I'm going to catch y'all in the next one. Have a blessed day.